Hello everybody and welcome to Okayama International Circuit for round number 9 of the iRacing Israel League Season 3, here once again live on Apex Racing TV and the iRacing Israel League YouTube channel. My name is Dane Baird and alongside me as always is Mr. Adam Barth with Samuli Kumo in production. Adam, we've seen 8 fantastic rounds of the season so far in the Porsche Cup cars, and I think this is going to be another great race here today at Okayama.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago it was another absolute thriller in this series, and now we head to a track described by many of the drivers that we spoke to in interviews afterwards as basically a large go-kart track, basically. So we'll see how these Porsche 911 Cup cars get on here today, and we'll see if they can find some overtaking opportunities, because from series that I've watched here in the past, there usually isn't too many. So let's see what these guys can get up to in the 35-minute race we've got coming up.
Absolutely. Shalberg Viteshvili then, our championship standings leader for round number 9. After 8 rounds of the championship, he has got a considerable lead up at the top. He'll be wanting to continue that good progress here today. Currently sitting 2/10 up on the top of the timing tower in qualifying with 3 minutes left. Open qualifying, you can see all the cars out on track at the same time. And it's Reem Gross in second and Michael Sherling in third. 3 drivers we are very used to seeing battling with each other.
Very close in the qualifying standings, isn't it, at the moment, as well, as Amir Meshalem goes in there with 1:31.867 in the closing stages. Just a second covering the top 9 as well, which is nice to see in this series. Nice and tight. And Imola 2 weeks ago, that was another crazy race. We've had a couple of those in the last few weeks. We had the Charlotte Roval, Imola 2 weeks ago, where in fact the Formula 1 circuits are heading to this week. And here we are at the former hosts of the Pacific Grand Prix as well for 2 years in 1994 and 1995.
Absolutely. Okayama, a very divisive circuit, I think, on iRacing. Everyone has it, of course. It's one of the circuits included in the iRacing base content. Pretty much every single driver on the road side of things did at least one rookie Mazda race here when they were just starting out. And it's sort of like Marmite. Some people love it, some people hate it. I don't mind it. I've had a good few races here at Okayama. I've had a couple of wins as well. It's treated me well, but interestingly, the drivers who are the fastest here currently, I don't think any of the top 3 or 4 drivers like the circuit much at all. But yeah, it's a very tricky circuit. There is probably going to be 1, maybe 2 overtaking opportunities here. The draft isn't too good on the Cup cars, but down the relatively long front straight, here they are. You can see this is Haggai Farron in the 31 car. He's coming around turn number 1 now. That could be an overtaking opportunity. Now if someone messes up into turn number 2, which is a very difficult left-hander, very difficult to get that one right, you could potentially make a move coming down in towards what I believe is turn 5. And the exit here is going to be crucial because the longest straight on the circuit comes up next, up the hill through the DRS zone, which doesn't apply here in the 911 GT3 Cup cars. Reaching speeds, as you can see on the bottom right hand corner, approximately 240 kilometers an hour into this very tight hairpin, down all the way to around about 70 kilometers an hour. Really big braking zone. You can see on the track map on the top right hand side, we're coming through the very tight and twisty sector 3 now. This is where I expect a lot of mistakes to be made throughout the race.
Yeah, this final sector is notoriously difficult. It was bad enough in the Mazda MX-5s, but in these Porsche 911 Cup cars, it'll be even tougher, especially when you're trying to put the power down here. You can see the car in front of us just getting a bit out of shape there and backing out of the lap. Can Haggai Farron improve? Make sure he doesn't pick up an off-track by cutting into the pit lane. Make sure he doesn't hit the grass either. Through the final corner, this 90-degree right-hander is currently in 6th place, 6/10 off pole. Can he get any closer to that? Let's have a look. The simrace.co.il car comes across the line, and he isn't able to improve on his personal best to a 31.7. It's a 31.8, which means he stays in 6th place for now.
Yeah, He doesn't normally qualify too well, Hagai. We don't normally see him at the top of the timing tower after the qualifying session, but we do normally see him making up positions in the race. He's very quick on race pace. There is Ori Lahav crossing the line, doesn't improve on his time. He'll stay in 15th. And we have got a pretty large grid here as well today. 30 drivers exactly. And Mr. Alon Day has returned. I wasn't expecting that. NASCAR Euro Whelen Series champion twice, Alon Day. A very successful driver in the real world, and also here in the iRacing Israel League Season 2 champion, of course. He is in the session. He hasn't set a qualifying time though, unfortunately. Hopefully he'll join us for the race, but it's good to see a familiar face back at him.
Indeed it is, yeah, and he's been pretty good in recent times in this series. He's had a few good battles as well with Shalva Kurtelshvili at the front. And with some others as well, the likes of Ruven Chachashvili as well in recent times too. So good to see him back. And he may not have participated in the qualifying session, but if he takes part in the race, expect to see him making some moves in the early going. And wonder what it's like to transition from racing in real life in a real life stock car, all that weight and power behind it, to go into these rather nimble Porsche 911 Cup cars. So let's see if that has any sort of impact. And here we go, we're getting set for the race, and here's the starting lineup then.
Championship leader Chalva Chachashvili, or Chachashvili, Kurtelshvili even, in pole position then with Reem Gross alongside him. Michael Scherling starting row number 2 alongside Chachashvili. Then we've got Rancioni, Hagai Farhan, Amin Meshalam, John Chico, Mehdi Bakar and Oren Sade rounding out the top 10. Dekel Nar starts in 11th with Yossi Gabai in 12th. We have got a standing start here today. Ron Cohen will line up on row number 7, Sardekel in 14th alongside, Ori Lahav in 15th with Toma Ventura in 16th, and then really Sir Ido Isaac, Alon Zeltzer, Gil Epstein, Aiden Scher, Gilad Heskia, Nirkot Mizrahi, Michael Simon will start 24th. The final couple of drivers on the grid, Huda Ben Yosef, David Diag, Leon Portman, Moshe Pinchevsky, Alon Day wearing the number 1 on his car, obviously Season 2 champion, and Rom Itak. Neither of those last 2 drivers set a qualifying time, as almost all of the drivers are on the grid. We are getting ready to go then, just a couple of drivers near the rear of the field, as we are going to have a 35-minute or 20-lap race, whichever comes first. Almost everyone on the grid. Let's see, we just got a couple of drivers still to wait for. There is Reem Gross on the left-hand side. Shalva has the outside line for turn number 1, which will allow Reem, if he gets a good start, to send one up the inside. Try and battle for the race lead. You can hear the engines revving in the background. Standing start in the Porsche Cup. 2 minutes on the clock. We are ready to race. So the lights are on the screen now. Lights illuminate, revs are rising. And we go green from Okayama, and it seems to have been a great start for Shalva. He's managed to get ahead of Reem Gross. He defends to the inside as they come through towards turn number 1. Shalva leads through turn number 1. Reem Gross in 2nd. Michael Scherling stays in 3rd, but we've got side-by-side throughout the field. Michael Simon making up a few positions at the back as well. Hagai Farhan up into 5th, ahead of Chachashvili, who lost out 2 positions. Rancioni up into 4th as well. Here comes John Chico, sending one up the inside. A little bit of contact with Amir Meshalam in towards turn number 5. We do have live stewarding here today for the first time. There seems to be another incident in turn 5 as well. We have got live stewarding for this race, which is the first in the iRacing Israel League, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. And there is Alon Day. He has decided to join us for the race, and he's already up into 18th.
Yeah, that is 11 places gained for Alon Day in the space of, what, half a lap? And poor Amir Meshalam, he was used as a brake, essentially, into the Atwood curve at the back end of the circuit, and I think he's managed to just about get back onto the circuit, but he is way down the order. And yeah, Tomo Ventura was around as well. That was the all-black car that was out of shape as Rancioni and Haggai Farron go into battle. We saw Haggai setting a late lap in qualifying, and here he is trying to get up the inside into the penultimate corner, very slow and almost colliding with the Gulf Porsche in front of it. It's shades of the Portuguese Grand Prix at the weekend. They're trying to put the power down in the early stages and finding not too much grip out there.
And cold tyres is the issue. Chachasvili now going to go up the inside of Haggai Farron. Is he going to make the move stick? Farron will have a better line through the exit. He'll have the inside line for the next corner. Side by side here. I've never seen it work before. And Chachasvili, oh, he doesn't get the best of exits. They're still side by side out of the corner, and he just cuts the nose off of Haggai Farron's car up into 5th position. Farron still battling with a note, sending one around the outside. They got to watch out for John Chica behind though.
Great battle, this in the early going. Whoa, look at that. That was Farron almost losing the front of the car on the exit. And it's going to mean that John Chico, with that light bodywork damage to the front of the car, should still be able to get enough alongside. He hasn't got the straight line speed because of that little indent on the right-hand side of the picture, but he should get by. I don't know whether that's a livery that he's using just for this event because we're in Japan, but regardless, he's through and into 6th place.
Absolutely. Probably expecting him to get a penalty though for that incident with Mechelen. He sent him all the way down to 22nd. Alon Day, meanwhile, all the way down in 17th. He's gained another position, but he's going to start to struggle a bit as the cars spread out. There he is, just a little bit up the road. Oh, there goes Heskia all the way around the outside. And now it's going to become the inside. They make contact, a little bit of a shove there. They're still side by side. 3 wide. Michael Simon sends it up the inside. He's going to gain a couple of positions from that as well. But not the best move for Heskia there. Looks like he is maybe a little bit desperate to make moves. He needs to calm down just a little bit and pick his battles wisely. You can see Mechelen just behind with a lot of damage. Oh, who's that? That's Ron Cohen. There goes Alon Day past, and John Chico has been black flagged. So I expect that to be a drive-through penalty for that incident.
Yeah, stop and go. I think, yeah,
stop and go.
Yeah, I was trying to work out my acronyms isn't the best, but SNG, I'm going to assume, yeah, does mean stop and go. Thanks, Sam, for confirming that. As Simon, here he is, up in 19th place, 5 places gained. We saw how opportunistic he was through the back end of the circuit, and there's Ron Cohen just in front. He was that car that was off at the first corner, and just in the background there, I think that's Amir Mechelen. He's on the comeback trail. He's up the inside of Heskia, into the right-hander at the end of the straight, the hairpin corner, as it's aptly named, and he's through into 20th now, back into the top 20.
Yeah, good move from Mechelen there. That's probably going to be the best overtaking opportunity on the circuit. Shalva hasn't pulled away. He is still very much got Reem Gross for company. 7/10 back. That gap is now closing as they head down the straight. The limited draft available from these Porsche 911 GT3 Cup cars starting to come into effect. That gap just under 4/10 as they head into turn number 1. Sardekel into the pits then. And I wonder, I don't see any damage from the rear at least of that car. We might have a fuel stop. We haven't been notified of any fuel stop for this race, but we did have one last time out at Imola, of course. So that could be the start of the pit window. We'll have to wait and see. Oh, Michael Simon's running a little bit wide there. That's allowed Mechelen to go up the inside. Still a little bit side by side. Simon backs out. Is he going to make a move in towards turn 5? No, he's not. He's going to sit back. Mechelen up into 18th. Meanwhile, Alon Day up into 13th, but he now has a 4-second gap ahead of him to Aurélien Have.
See if you can close that down. Last time around, he was a second quicker than Aurélien Have. And obviously, the further you get forward, the more difficult it's going to get. But Alon Day, we've seen in the past, sive his way through the field after getting involved in a few bits of incidents. I remember Donington one year, and I think in the same season it was at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course as well, where he had to come back through the field after some spins in the early stages. I think it was back in the day when he was battling... Oh, he wasn't battling with Shalva, was he? I think he was battling with Dorian Tabachnik back then, and we'll have to do that here today. As John Chico comes into the pits to serve that penalty, that will give another place to Alon Day. Move him up into 12th now.
Absolutely. It doesn't seem like Alon Day is actually losing time to Shalva, sitting around the 14.5-second mark, but he is gaining time to Ori Lahab. The gap is now 3 seconds as something's happened to Chachasvili. There he is. And that looks like it could be... Oh, let's see what happens to him. It looks like it's all on his own. And he... Yes, he just loses the rear of the car, slamming on the brakes, and he does pretty well to keep that out of the wall. Almost puts in the wall by himself the second time, but like I said, turn 2 is a very tricky corner.
Spoke to Chachasvili 2 weeks ago, and oh, no problem for Heskia. Heskia down in 28th place now, lost us 6 places. Race hasn't gone too well for him. And now here's a replay. This is the exit of turn 1 into turn 2. Williams parallel on the exit. Oh, and that was very unexpected. You'd have thought he was so far away from the corner that he would have been able to put his foot down and carried on, but he nursed a tyre barrier once, maybe twice. Doesn't look like he's picked up too much damage though, fortunately, and he's got back going again and is now down in 28th place in that fluorescent blue and green car. Blue and orange, I should say.
Absolutely not the best race for him. Down right near the end, John Chico was sent all the way down to last position on the field because of that penalty. So a bit too greedy in the first lap, and that sent him all the way down to last. Mechelin moving his way up through the field, up to 16th now, and he's closing in on Cohen. Here is the battle for 7th then. Dekel Nar just ahead of Oren Sade. Nar's run wide there, closes the door on Sade, but he's going to have a better exit. Coming down the back straight in towards the hairpin. Is he going to be able to make a move? I think he might be a bit too far back. He is closing quite a bit. Defensive for Dekel Nar. Around the outside, he tries to go. He's going to go for the cutback, but this section is, I think, a bit too tight to make anything stick. Going to be a little bit careful, and obviously he's got to watch out behind as well, because just a little bit behind these two are Yossi Gabay and Ori Lahab. There they are. So these two have to really be careful. They don't want to battle too hard, because they'll just allow themselves to be overtaken by the guys behind.
It gives a pretty familiar battle pack that we've got here to one that we had in Imola 2 weeks ago, and it looks like it is really battle resumed here. 4 cars all within shot. And you're right, just a single slip up from any of these guys, especially a track like this, does invite further pressure from behind. Just 8 tenths of a second between Gabay and Sade, and then just half a second now between Gabay and Lahav. And Alon Day, let's see what lap times he sets there, because he's just right in the background of that shot. Over the line he goes. What lap time does he do? He does a 32.8. So another couple of attempts taken out on Ori Lahav, with 13 laps still to go. Problem for Dekel Nar. Dekel Nar spun at turn 2, and that's not at all what he wanted. Oh, careful! Alon Day has to avoid him. Take evasive action there, does the NASCAR Euro Wheeling Series driver, and also going through there's Gil Epstein.
Yeah, that was a little bit sketchy for Alon Day. He's up into the top 10 though. That's really not a place on the circuit. If you could pick any place on the circuit, I think, to not have a car stranded in front of you, it would definitely be turn 2. That's really a one-line corner, and if you compromise that line, the wall is very close and inviting. But he did well to avoid that. He's now got Ori Lahav around about 5 seconds up the road. That's going to be his next target. There he is, battling in this pack of 4 cars. There was 4 cars, but looks like Matty McCarr now leading it.
Yeah, that's as a result of the spin earlier, isn't it? And, oh yeah, bit of a moment there. Looks like Lahav has got a bit more pace underneath him at the moment. The gap's been coming down over the last couple of corners. But Yossi Gabay still holding his own here through the final corner, using the most of the concrete on the exit as well as the curbs. Over the line to start lap 8. And it looks like Madi Bakar is just starting, Oren Sade is just starting to stretch his legs away from this fighting duo now. The gap's up to 1.2. And it looks like that early pit stop that we saw for Sardeco as well, that was only for 9 seconds, so not too sure what that was all about, but we haven't seen any pit stops since. So with 12 laps or 13 laps still to go, I assume that this isn't a race where we're going to see pit stops, but let's wait and see. Look at this. This is a fight for, well, in the lower reaches of the field, and it's like almost a fight for the win here. We've got Ido Isaac, we've got Aiden Scher, Alan Seltzer, Leon Portman as well, and I think and also Itak as well. So quite a lot of cars in this one shot.
Absolutely, we've got I think David Diag in there as well, leading this pack. It's a massive pack. They're all going side by side through the little straight section between turns 1 and 2. Oh, look at that! Is Isaac slowing down? Potentially a slowdown penalty there. I don't think you can get slowdowns around that part of the circuit, but it seems he has, and he's just had to let the entire field go, the entire train go past him. He's gonna just tag on the end of it now.
I think the only way you can get a slowdown, only place you can actually get a slowdown around here is if you cut the inside of the pit lane by quite some margin. I remember doing that quite a few times in the Mazda MX-5 days. But aside from that, I don't think there is many places you can. I don't know what happened to cause that for to poor Ido there. Maybe he might have really lost it on the exit of the corner going onto the back straight. But he's at least he's still on the back of the train of this group of cars, which stretches from 21st all the way down to around 25th, 26th place. So quite a decent scrap there going on for the second half of the race. Here is
oh, look at Chachasvili, and he's got Amim Eshlam just behind.
Yeah, and it looked like an overtake it was. Yeah, so that stretches Vili through into 17th place now, so carrying on his comeback through the fields. We spoke to him after Imola 2 weeks ago, and here he is making some good progress once again. He's got Michael Simon just in front of him now. Last time around he was 1.5 seconds quicker than the all-pink car as wide goes Ron Cohen at the hairpin. Now into Revolver. Can Simon try and get back up the inside? No. And this has just allowed Ruben Chachasvili to close right up to the back of them going through Piper. Worth a move up the inside here, Dane? It looks like it.
He's definitely sent it. Not the easiest place to make a move stick, but he's done it. That outside line is pretty off camber. The track really falls away from you, and that wouldn't have helped Michael Simon out at all. Chachasvili really on a charge here. Now up into 16th with Cohen just ahead. Looks like Farron has had a little bit of a battle with Madi Bakar up in 5th and 6th. Interesting things happening all throughout the field. That's what we love to see. There is Agai Farron and Madi Bakar. Two drivers having a bit of a scrap here. Are we going to get a replay? Yes, we are. Heading into turn number 1. And it's a very bold move down the inside. Bakar hangs it around the outside. Are they still going to be side by side into turn 2? No, they're not. Farron has the move done.
Tasty scrap that. And it looks like it's still carrying on for a spot in the top 5. Agai Farron started 6th. We saw that late lap from him in qualifying. Madi Bakar up 3 places. Oh, Farron going very deep. Not too much grip out there. Just going to invite more pressure from Bakar here. It's going to compromise his entry as well into the Hobbs corner. Slow right-hand hairpin, one of the slowest corners on the circuit. Through the penultimate turn, down to the last corner, onto the front straight again, and it looks like Farron has managed to get back into the rhythm again. But still, Bakar's just 0.4 of a second away as they go down the front straight. See what lap times Farron did: 32.565, 33.1. Madi Bakar. I wonder if Owen Sade and Yossi Gabay are lapping any quicker than that. They are. And Orla have putting in a new personal best, 32.687. The guy sitting in 9th place at the moment. And Chachasvili, as you can see on the timing screen, he's picked up another place, getting by Ron Cohen, it looks like, in the final corner.
That's a very interesting position to make an overtake. Oh, I heard contact behind. That's Michael Simon. What's happened to Mr. Simon? Looks like actually something's happened in the braking zone and it sent him No one's even close to him. I think he's lost it. Maybe touched the grass under braking. No, just loses it all on his own. Bang, hard into the inside wall. Meshlam just avoiding him there, but that's really unfortunate for him. There's quite a lot of damage.
Yeah, we saw a driver earlier just hit the tyre barrier and they picked up no damage at all, but with Michael Simon, unluckily for him, if you hit the concrete walls around here, you are picking up a lot of damage. These Porsches are front engines as well, so oh god, they're rear engine, but there is a few components at the front of the car where if you hit them in a bad way, it could cause them to overheat and explode. So we'll wait and see on that front. Yeah, they are rear engine. I should just clarify.
That gives them their quirky characteristics. Very odd cars to drive if you're used to maybe GT3s. Oh, that was a little bit of a slide from Rancioni in third position, running very nicely indeed in that Golf livery car. He's got Michael Scherling just behind him. We're used to seeing Scherling up and around the top three. He's going to be wanting to get back by Tizioni very soon. 9 laps to go in this race, or 8.5. And it is looking like there's a lot of small groups of cars. Scherling making his presence known. He was never going to make that lunge, but it has, and that allows Scherling just to close up just that little bit more. All over the grass is Scherling, trying to extend the track as much as possible. But it's only 0.4, half a second between these two drivers. Scherling, if he can get a good exit out of the final corner, could be on for a move in towards turn number 1. Very, very shortly indeed. Already have briefly went off circuit. Meshlam has lost position as well. But can Scherling get a good exit? I don't think it's very good, but Sioni dragged his left-hand side into the gravel a little bit. It's not the longest main straight here. He is going to go for the move. It's a big send into turn number 1. And it doesn't look like it's paid off just yet. Actually, he's got a fantastic exit. He's going to hold it all the way around the outside of turn number 2 and try and get the better exit out of the two of the drivers. Through the little S section they go. And I think Scherling's got ahead. Yes, he has. Up into third then. That is a podium position secured for him. But what can Sioni do coming out of the final, or out of turn 5 onto this back straight? Only a couple of car lengths separating them.
This is fantastic stuff around Okayama. You can just see how much they're struggling in terms of trying to put the power down here. A little bit defensive there from Scherling. Going into the hairpin. Back over the small crest. 2 90-degree left-handers coming up. Now the short straight. Not close enough to get the move done there, so the fight continues for the final spot on the podium. At the moment it's in the hands of Scherling with just a couple of laps to go, and it looks like he's starting to stretch his legs as well now that he remains ahead. Through the penultimate corner we go. Can Rancioni make anything of it on the front straight? All depends about the exit here through the final corner. But that was a really good exit from Michael Scherling, making the most of the curve and the green concrete on the exit to make sure that he can stay ahead. The gap remains half a second. Scherling puts in a 32.5, which is a lot quicker than Rancioni's 33.3 on that last lap. See if he can try and build on that this time. Alon Day progress update, by the way. Here he is. He's up in 8th, and he's gained 21 places in the process. And next up on the list is Oren Sade, the 147 car. We can just about see him in front. He's managed to get by the likes of Yossi Gabai, Decon Nar and Gil Epstein, and he's looking forward. Could a top 5 potentially be up for grabs? If he does want to do that, he's going to have to work overtime, I think, because once he gets past Oren Sade, as you can see from the battle box in the bottom right, it's a 7-second buffer that he's got to try and close down to get to Maddie McLaren in 6th place, and then after that another 2 seconds to try and get in the top 5.
Well, he has 7 laps to do it. Gain a second a lap and he might just catch him. Overtaking is then of course another issue entirely. But we're used to seeing this. He a couple of times back in the GT4s made errors, like you said, back at Mid-Ohio, I think, was the first time we saw it. And Road Atlanta as well, potentially, I believe. We saw a couple of times starting up at the front as always, dropping right back to the bottom of the field and working his way back up. He's got a lot of practice of doing that. Shalva setting 31s, seemingly the only driver setting too many 31s. Michael Sherling's in there as well. Most drivers settling for 32s. Here is Orentali just ahead. That is Alon Day's next target. Alon Day also in the 31s, albeit just with a 31.9.
Closed that gap pretty quickly, hasn't he? Last time around, a 31.9 compared to Sade's 32.8, so basically almost a second difference. Oh, problem. Aside of Isaac, who we saw engrossed in a fierce scrap at the back end of the field earlier on, but here he is, having lost it on the exit of the Hobbs corner. At least we assume he's lost it. He may have had a bit of help in the process, but he is now down to 24th. There was a bit of smoke in the foreground as well. I don't know whether someone else has been off in the kitty litter somewhere, but nonetheless, here Ido Isaac has got that going again, now in 24th place. Alon Day is the man on the mission. Gap down to half a second. We spoke about a couple of the overtaking spots around here, Dane. I'd probably say turn 1 is the next realistic one coming up. Even though this left-hand hairpin that we've just gone through, it invites an overtaking move. You don't often see too many though, unless you've really got alongside. And Alon Day, you can just see how much he's closing the gap. He's almost taking tenths out of Orensade for every corner.
Absolutely. Really good drive so far from Alon Day. He is currently leading the Euro NASCAR Whelen Series standings as of right now. So he's still doing well in the real world as well. He finished 3rd in the Euro NASCAR E Series. Many of the real world series had their own iRacing equivalents throughout the pandemic and the major lockdown seasons, but he did pretty well in that, finishing in 3rd. He's leading the real world series for 2020 as well, doing a fantastic job out in the real world and replicating that here. Went for a bit of a wider line, trying to get a good exit out of turn 5. Ivan Scher has just dropped out of the session, unfortunately. But Alon Day is looking to the inside, hitting the limiter a little bit. Only shifting up into 5th. He didn't even reach 6th gear there. But it was a great move down the inside, and he's up into 7th. Adibikar 6.5 seconds up the road with 5 or 4.5 laps to go. He'll really have to do some amazing lap times to try and catch that gap up now.
It's amazing how quick this race has gone. We're on now on starting lap 17. And when Shalva Kvitelashvili crosses the line, he'll be making it 3 laps to go. And he's been largely unchallenged in this one. Imola was, if I remember rightly, a different story. But here he is, coming up to lap Michael Simon. He looks like he's been into the pits to get a new car, it looks like. Fast prepare for Michael Simon. That front end looks a bit better. But he is now down in 28th place, and there's the last car on the lead lap. I think he's about to lose that lap to Shalva Kvitelashvili here, who started on pole. Has pretty much led every single lap. The top 3 are all as you were from qualifying. Ringgross in 2nd, 4.6 seconds away. Just seeing him there going through the hairpin. Michael Scherling in 3rd place, who's now started to extend his lead away from Rancioni. And that looks set to be a pretty solid top 3 result for all 3 of them here, so long as they don't make any mistakes in the closing stages here.
Absolutely, he's starting to have to deal with some back traffic. That in front of him was Michael Simon, who looks like he's going to take his fast repair that the drivers do get. This is Gil Epstein getting overtaken by Ori Lahav, and he's got Chachashvili right behind, who's going to send it down the inside. Does he know? He thought about it, thought the better of it. A little bit of a bump even through the first of the 2 left-handers, now into the second one. Not the best exit for him, unfortunately. not going to have a chance of making a move into the hairpins, as we've seen him make a couple of times. He's going to have to settle for 13th at the moment, but 12th is looking very likely if he can get a good exit down in towards turn number 1. But Shalva leading up front, doing a fantastic job. Around about 5 seconds is the gap to Reem Gross. But he had the same sort of thing happening in Lime Rock Park back on when the season restarted after the mid-season break. And then he made a mistake, so hopefully for him we don't see that happen again. Reem Gross was the driver to take. No, it wasn't. It was Chachashvili who took the win, but Chachashvili very much involved in his own battle further down the field at the moment, with a 0.1 second gap to Epstein ahead. Look at that, less than a car length between them. Is he going to send up the inside to the second part of turn 5? Yes, he is. Who gets the better exit? That's the question. Down the back straight. Still side by side. No draft affecting either of the drivers. Chachashvili with the preferred inside line, and it looks like he has got that move done. Bit of a lock-up actually, but Epstein has nowhere to go past. Chachashvili up into 12th.
Good move there by Chachashvili, continuing his surge through the field. 8 places lost from where he started, but he's really put on a show for us here. So too Alonde, both driving through the field in great fashion. And can he get one more place before the end of this one? Next up for him will be Ori Lahav, who's 1.2 seconds up the road. Here is Rom Itek, who's also got a cause to be happy here. 13 places gained for the 95 car, and here he is, currently circulating in 17th place. He's found a nice gap on the circuit, really, because really who's just in front of him is 4 seconds away, and then behind him, Yehuda Ben Yosef is a 6 seconds further back. So, oh no, careful, Rob Itek, you've got a 6-second buffer, you can afford to take your time. And he gets going again, and just about holds on to the place. But Yehuda Ben Yosef, if he does that again, will be breathing down his neck there as they start the penultimate lap.
Yeah, he had a very small amount of grip through a lot of those final few corners, and then the final corner was just too much. The rear stepped out and he wasn't able to save it in time. But like you said, he now does have a 1 second gap behind. He is going to be looking in his mirrors, I'm sure, with 1 and a bit laps to go.
There's Alon Zeltzer in 19th place, A licence, one of the few drivers, aside from the only driver outside the top 3 to currently be running where he started. Currently in 19th place, started 19th as well. Yehuda Ben Yosef just 0.8 of a second up the road, and if he's able to get by him, then that'll be 1 place gained where he started on the grid. But it looks like Yehuda Ben Yosef will be in that 18th place. Stop and go penalty. Very late on. I wonder if it's going to be Shades of Silverstone 98 here for a John Chico unsafe rejoin, lap 18. Only 1 driver has been given penalties in this race today, and it's been John Chico. Firstly for the start line, firstly for the turn 4 smash with Amir Meshalem, and now he's been handed a further penalty by the stewards for an unsafe rejoin. So his day goes from bad to worse here, as Ori Lahav is now under severe pressure from Chachashvili.
This is for 11th position. Final lap of the race. Chachashvili making that move up the inside. It looks like he's actually got ahead. No, he hasn't. He's just behind. 0.01 seconds on the timing screen. They are level. He has the inside line once again. Similar story to when he got past Epstein. Have tries to hold it around the outside, but no job for him. There we go then. Shalva already crossing the finish line to win round number 9 of the iRacing Israel League Season 3 here on Apex Racing TV. There goes Reem Gross across the line to finish second. Michael Sherling took third, just ahead of Ran Sioni. Hagai Farron took 5th, ahead of Madi Bakar. There is Michael Sherling, and he is going to get out the car right there. Alon Zeltzer right on the back of Yehuda Ben Yosef now. I don't see any overtaking opportunities for the rest of the lap. It's a very tight and twisty final sector. As we've seen multiple times, he's lining himself up for a lunge into the penultimate corner. Let's see. Oh, he has got a bit of a better exit actually. If he can get the final corner perfect and Ben Yosef makes a mistake, he might be on for 18th here. Let's see. And no, I don't think he's going to have it. That is really actually, it's ITAC ahead, taking 17th, Yehuda Ben Yosef in 18th, and Alon Zeltzer in 19th, Sardekel all the way down in 20th. Not being a good race for him at all. Chico in the pit lane to serve his penalty. He's going to fall right to the back of the pack because he will get an extra penalty on top of that, because iRacing doesn't like it if you serve penalties on the last lap.
Here comes Moshe Pinchevsky into the pits. Goodness me, I've seen that livery. 7-2, my friend, as Pinchevsky comes in after the checkered flag. And that is going to be the last car that we're waiting for to cross the line. Oh dear.
Oh.
Rolls it over by clipping the inside of one of the pit garages, I think. We need him to cross the line. Oh, well, I think he might have towed back. And if he tows back, will that mean we've finished? I'm not too sure. There's a John Chico serving that penalty that you were just mentioning there a second ago. And there we go. The checkered flag is officially done. Everybody has now crossed the line. So race results are up on the screen, though.
Well, it was a bit of a Shalva show, wasn't it? Shalva up in first by a good 4.5 seconds ahead of Reem Gross, who had a pretty lonely race. Both the top two drivers not having much to do except keep putting in those fast lap times. Michael Scherling getting ahead of Rancioni near the end, 3rd and 4th for those two. Haggai Farron ahead of Maddie Beccaro in 5th and 6th. Alon Day up 22 positions, starting 29th on the grid, finishing in 7th. Great to have our NASCAR champion back with us. Soren Sade in 8th with Yossi Gabay up a couple of places in 9th. Dekel Nar in 10th. Chachasvili fighting his way back up through the field to finish 11th. Ori Lahav in 12th. Gil Epstein in 13th. Then we've got Nikot Mazrahi, Ron Cohen, Really Sir, Rom Itak, Yehuda Ben Yosef, Alon Zeltzer, and Sard Dekel rounding out the top 20. Toma Ventura finished 21st. Then we have Leon Portman, David Diag, and Meshalem all the way down in 24th after a couple of incidents. Ido Isaac in 25th, and John Chico rounding out the drivers who finished on the lead lap. Moshe Pinchevsky and Michael Simon, as well as Gilad Heskett, finished a lap down, and Aiden Shah lost connection halfway through the race. He finished in 30th, 7 laps down. It's interesting to note actually that Alon Day is going to get a nice boost of, I believe, 4 points, because he got the most overtakes in that race by quite some distance. The next highest was Rom Itak, in fact, who gained 13 in that race, which is a great job from him. I believe with this driver started right at the back. But Adam, that was a pretty interesting race.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. Okayama providing a decent bit of racing, especially with the drivers at the back of the field that were able to work their way back up to the positions or near whereabouts they started. Of course, Alon Day not taking part in qualifying either, gaining up to 7th place as we take a look at a replay of the start. And we do have a few drivers waiting to talk to us. And I think it'd be rude not to start with our race winner. We do have Alon Day as well waiting to talk to us, so we'll hopefully move on to that soon. So let's get Shalva in for a quick word. Shalva, can you hear us?
Yes. Hello, Adam. Hello, Dane.
Well, this is probably one of your more straightforward race victories today. You got the pole position, took the lead away from the start, and then never looks back, really.
Yeah, pretty much straightforward. I didn't have many of those throughout the season. Always had some, some surprises and stuff. To be honest, I wasn't expecting to be on pole, especially because all throughout the week when we were practicing, like Re'em and Reuven as well, and Alon, which made a somewhat of a comeback, not a full one, but they were faster than me by a tenth or two. But yeah, the open qualifier is always there's trouble. So I'm guessing they had some traffic issues. And from then on, well, the first couple of laps were quite tricky, keeping Graham behind me. He's really fast, and I wasn't feeling very comfortable with the cold tires. But I was just trying to keep in mind that the tires are gonna really fall off a cliff, like after lap 7, 8, or 10, something like that. Like they absorb so much heat because the track is so hot, and I was just trying to take conservative lines, the ones that I was practicing, and just somehow maintain to keep the lead and cross the line. Yeah.
It's probably one of the few races where you've really got to encounter quite a lot of lap traffic. How was that as the race went along?
Wasn't really tricky, to be honest. Not a lot of traffic, just a couple of cars, and they were all very respectful. So no issues on that regard. Like the more difficult thing was just trying to stay focused. Just keep remembering the braking points, the apexes. 20 laps around this track is quite frustrating on this small hot track. I was just trying to stay focused.
Oh, well, before we let you go, after a brilliant display from you today, is there anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, shout out to Alon. Hopefully next week in the next race, I mean, he'll make a full comeback and join us up in the front positions for a good fight. Thank you, guys.
Oh yeah, we're rubbing our hands together for that. Yeah, hopefully we'll see that next week. And yeah, Shalva, well done today, and thanks for taking the time to come and speak to us.
Yeah, guys. See ya.
Shalva Kvitelashvili there, our race winner. And Dane, who should we move on to next? We do have Reem Gross in P2 in the interview room, waiting to hear from us.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get him in here then for a quick chat. Reem, can you hear us?
Yes, of course. Hey there.
Well, congratulations on a second place, but I think that was a pretty lonely race for yourself. You didn't really have anyone really too close to you throughout that race. You just had to get your head down and put in those lap times.
Yes, on the start I tried to be faster than Shalva and overtake him, but I saw he's really fast, as we know, and I decided to let go a little bit so I can preserve my tires.
Yeah, Shalva was just telling us that the track was pretty hot and the tires really weren't happy with that. Did you struggle? Were you struggling for grip near the end? I saw a couple of drivers really pushing the limits a bit.
Yeah, from lap 5 after the fight with Shalva, the lap times were really bad. Couldn't keep with the pace with Shalva. The tires really didn't function.
Yeah, and the tires in this car, once you lose them, they're very difficult to get back because this car is pretty difficult to drive at the best of times. How do you find Okayama? I've heard a lot of drivers don't really like it that much, saying it's a bit of a big go-kart circuit, but how did you find driving this circuit in this car?
It's a little track. It's really hard to overtake on this track. It's make more difficult to race this track, but it's really fun. Have a very good flow, so I really enjoyed this track.
Yeah, absolutely. Okayama is it's a fun little track. I've never driven it in this car. I think that'd be a little bit terrifying, to be honest. But you did a fantastic job to finish in second place. Congratulations on that. And before we let you go, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yes, of course. I want to say a big shout out to Ariel Dabush. He have a 3D company that called 3D Boot X. His new company. He let me the opportunity to race this the iRacing league. So thank you.
Oh, that's great to hear, Reem. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time.
Hope so too. Thank you.
Well, it was good to hear from Reem Gross there in second position, Adam. And we've got a couple drivers left in the interview waiting area. Who do you think we should get next?
Let's see if we can complete the podium. Let's go on to Michael Sherling, who finished in P3 today. Hopefully we can hear him. Let's get him in. Michael, can you hear us?
Yeah, hey guys.
Oh, good to hear you as well. And yeah, well done on P3 today. There was a brief moment in the second half of the race where Rancioni got quite close to you, but you were able to hold on and get back on the podium again.
Yeah, unfortunately, the first part of the race, I had a small spin, so needed to fight my way back.
And how was Okayama today? From the drivers we've spoken to so far, that it sounded pretty slippery out there at the best of times. And obviously, with your spin that you mentioned there, were the tyres struggling towards the end at all?
No, for me, I was really struggling in the first 4 laps. It was something very, very strange. The car just, I don't know, I didn't feel it well. The braking points were, the brake felt very weak. I don't know. But after this, it was amazing. Everything was okay. This track is in general, like, the grip is shitty and it's very understeer, so we are used to it. So it was not something unusual at the rest of the race. So yeah, was a good fight with Ran.
So overall, then pretty happy with the result, because of the fact that you had that spin earlier on.
Yes, it's a good result, but there was potential to fight for the, I don't know, at least for second place. I'm sure it would be very difficult to overtake Rem, but at least we could have had a good fight, I'm sure.
Another podium for you. Before we let you go, Michael, do you want to send a quick shout out to anyone?
Yeah, to you guys and to Amir, of course, for organizing all of this. Yeah.
Right. Well done today on the fight back through the field to get up to third place, and yeah, hopefully we'll speak to you again in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Michael Sherling there, Dane, and got a few drivers left to speak to. We've got Rancioni who finished in 4th, and then we can interview Alonde, I guess, at the end as well after his drive through the field to 7th.
Yeah, let's get Ran in here then. Doing a pretty great job up in 4th. He had a bit of a battle throughout the race as well. Let's get him in here then for a quick word then. Welcome to the interview room then. Ran, can you hear us?
Hi, yeah, I can hear you just fine.
That's very good then. P4 for you today. You must be pretty happy with that result.
Yeah, pretty happy, and honestly, I'm just happy to have a clean race. I think it's the first time for that league, so even though, a long day came back and I thought that, it's going to be a demolition derby, it was a clean race and I had a lot of fun, and yeah.
Yeah, it was a pretty good race from yourself. You had a bit of a battle with Michael Sherling, I believe, near the end. Talk us through that. You were battling for 3rd. Must have been pretty nerve-wracking at the end of the race.
Yeah, I so wanted to take that podium, but he was obviously a lot faster than me. He spun and then he got back behind me, and I thought that maybe I could fight him off and defend my position, but he was so faster than me, and my tires were, I really struggled for grip at I think even at the half part of the race, the tires started to go, and then that's when he came back. So really, I had no chance. I just had to leave room for him, and but yeah, it was a good, clean fight, and I really enjoyed the race.
Yeah, you had a pretty good race. 4th position is going to help out your championship standings as well, I'm very sure. I believe in 2 weeks' time the series is heading to Sebring. What are your thoughts on that circuit?
Wow, with that car, pretty scary. But let's cross our fingers and hope that it will be another clean race like this one. It seems that the league is improving, and everybody's times are really close. and a lot of close fights and clean races, and that's what we're looking for.
Absolutely. Now that I mention it, Sebring is both my favorite track to drive this car around for sure. It's I think it's a great combination for this car. It's got some good overtaking opportunities as well. It should be a good race. It's also where the first ever iRacing Israel League race was broadcast on Apex Racing TV back when we were in the GT4s. And so that's going to be pretty cool to go back there. We saw some great racing in the first round. And Ryan, it's been great to speak to you. Congrats on the 4th position. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, of course. Shout out to Amir for organizing all this league, and for Hagai for sponsoring this race and giving us guidance throughout the weeks with practices. And of course to you guys for broadcasting and doing such an amazing job, and for all the drivers that are participating and taking part in this. It's amazing. So thank you all.
Well, thank you as well, Ryan, and we hope to see you back in for another interview in a couple weeks' time.
Yeah, sure hope so.
Well, it was great to hear from Ryan there. And Adam, we've only got one driver left, and I think we might have potentially saved the best till last.
Well, yeah, it was a stunning drive through the field from Alon Day. If you gain 22 places, you usually deserve at least a podium or a win. You get 7th place today. 22 places gained as well, Alon Day. First of all, can you hear us?
Yeah, basically, the reason was I'm just bored. I live in Belgium now because of the Euro NASCAR season. And I have some terrible equipment, like I'm driving with my 2 candles, holding my laptop and G29 and some in the kitchen table. But I just wanted to start last. I didn't want to interrupt the championship leaders, and I didn't want to cause any trouble, so I decided to start last. And it was mainly to show other people that it's possible to start last, to pass quite a lot of cars, and still I finished with only 1 incident, and that incident was off track. So I think it was pretty clean race. Shout out to all those top 5 people. I think it's they did a great job. I think that the championship, I came back after 4 months or 3, I don't know, which I was away from the simulator, and to see how tight the grid is and how tough the competition is, it's nice to see. Like I see the level is going up a lot, and I think it's cool to see, and I'm happy for that.
Just quickly before we let you go, did you expect to get up to 7th place with quite a few handicaps? It sounded like.
To be honest, I wanted it even higher, but as I said, the level was getting way better. I think 7th place was the maximum I could get this race. So I'm happy with that. I wish it was more than that. I know that in the championship rules, and I get like extra 4 points or something like that for gaining most positions. So that will put me, I think, P4 or P3 in terms of points, which is pretty nice. But yeah, that's it.
And will we see you at any future rounds in the season coming up?
I don't know yet, to be honest. The COVID situation here in Europe is getting worse, and my next round in the NASCAR Wheel in Euro Series is changing. Like, it was supposed to be Czech Republic in 2 weeks, and now it's Croatia and things like that. So I'm not sure I will be available for the next round, but I will try. As long as I'm home, I will try to do my best to join and participate in this championship.
Nice. Well, well done on the drive today, Alon, and yeah, thanks a lot for waiting to speak to us, and we'll hopefully see you again in a couple of weeks.
Hey, you picked me up last. I'm offended about that.
Oh, we were saving the best till last and all that jazz. Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Cheers.
Well, it's good to have him back. We've missed him over the last couple of months, I think, and he's been away doing his own thing in the Euro NASCAR series, but it's great to have him back. Season 2 champion, of course, back in the GT4s. Great driver to have back. He gave us some great entertainment as well, working his way up through the field, 22 places gained and all that. So yeah, I'm glad to see him back. But Adam, that pretty much wraps everything up for round 9. It was a pretty interesting round. We had lots of little battles going on, as we so often do here in the iRacing Israel League.
Yeah, there was plenty of action going on throughout the field. If there wasn't a fight going on at the front for the race lead, we had Michael Sherling coming back through to get into P3. And we had Malon Day, of course, coming through the field as well. And some of the fights going on outside the top 20, the likes of Ido Isaac and Amma Meshalem, who was, of course, punted off at the start, had to come back from that. So, yeah, plenty of stuff going on. And Sebring in a couple of weeks, that could be interesting because we already talked about this track being low grip with the special Japanese tarmac. Going onto the famous front straight at Sebring on the exit of Sunset Bend with that really ancient runway surface, it's going to be really interesting to see how they get on with that. And you mentioned it as well, they were in the GT4 cars the last time we raced there. Now we've got a bit more power and racing in the GT3, so something else to factor into the equation as well when we head there in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see. I personally love the car and track combination. I think when it was there last season in the iRacing official series, I did a good 8 races or so, and yeah, it's definitely a very enjoyable car and track combination. Very sketchy, especially on the bumpy sections near the end, Sunset Bend especially difficult, as we're seeing a great shot in the background of the broadcast of, I believe, Alan Day working his way through lap 1 shenanigans. But that pretty much wraps it up then for round number 9. It was another brilliant round of the iRacing Israel League live on Apex Racing TV. I've been Dane Baird alongside Adam Barr. Samili Kumo has been in the production booth. And from us, from everyone at the iRacing Israel League and Apex Racing TV, we want to wish you a good night and happy racing.